Hello, in today's video we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Melissa has now formed here in the Caribbean here, expected to stall out and bring devastating amounts of rainfall here, possibly to the Dominican Republic. We'll be talking about that, digging deeper into Tropical Storm Melissa here in this video, going over the National Hurricane Center and the new forecast models. Also, going to be continuing to pay attention here to some cooler temperatures that are moving through the United States here as well, making their way down to the south due to a cold front. And then we're also seeing some rainfall that is leading up to some possible flash flooding here into Michigan and Wisconsin, with that low pressure being just right over them. We're going to dig deeper into today's video, and I hope you guys do enjoy. If you do, make sure to leave a like, and if you do have any questions, just leave it down in the comments. So let's hop into today's video. Welcome back here in the Cadence Weather Center. Today is October 21st, 2025. Continuing to pay attention here to obviously Tropical Storm Melissa. That's going to be our main focus in this video here. We also do have a marginal risk in the northern part of the United States, where you kind of can see most action is going on here in the weather radar. So let's kind of look at, what are we going through without, around the United States? Well, we're seeing a couple things. We're obviously seeing a lot of rainfall kind of continuing on over here in parts of eastern, Michigan, heading all the way into parts of eastern Minnesota. We're going to be seeing that here for the next couple of hours, obviously, as we do have that low pressure that's kind of bringing that spin, and you clearly can see that here visible on radar, and there's that low pressure. So as you can see, here's the front of that line kind of moving through all the way from northern New York all the way down here into parts of Houston, Texas. There's that line, and these are going to be moving down, so that's going to bring some of those cooler temperatures and that dry air, which we're already starting to see some pretty nice temperatures here for parts of the central part here of the United States, but that will eventually make its way down here to the south. So rain chances will eventually kind of make their way up a little bit more here over the next couple of days as we head into the south, just because we're going to be seeing a little bit of a cold front, but nothing too major. No severe weather threat is really expected with that. Let's take a look here at the satellite picture. Well, you can clearly see as well, we're seeing a little bit of convection this morning. These are some thunderstorms that we did see earlier this morning, now kind of starting to weaken on a little bit. Maybe some bigger storms starting to kind of form here with heavy rainfall heading in Louisiana. Obviously, other than that, we're seeing a lot of dry air here continuing on in parts of the, south central western part here of the United States. But there's that low pressure system, seeing that spin kind of continuing on right now. There's that, cold front system right there, the low pressure, and you can see that cold front line continuing to move through the south, so that will eventually kind of make its way off to the east here as we continue on throughout the rest of this week. Let's take a look at the Storm Prediction Center here. What are we looking at? Well, there's a marginal risk continuing on over here in parts of eastern Michigan, heading into northern Ohio, and even into parts of northwestern Pennsylvania. We're going to be seeing some of that marginal risk kind of continue on. This will be later into the overnight hours, and we'll kind of talk about that here shortly. The tornado probabilities, none really going to be there. Our biggest threat here, as we're having that cold front kind of coming down, some gusty winds could be heading through that area here later on tonight into the overnight hours. So make sure, just in case, if you do have a severe thunderstorm warning, make sure you have a way to get it as well. Make sure the phones are going to be on, and can't rule out also just one or two tornado warnings depending on our storm, but no favorability kind of for tornadoes are going to be in that marginal risk zone for today. Taking a look here at the GFS model, what are we currently looking at here? Well, the GFS still, obviously, there's our low pressure system. There's that cold front that we're kind of seeing, a high pressure building in over here over the northwestern part here of the United States. And there's that cooler temperatures that are going to kind of move in here. You could clearly see that. That cold front's going to make its way here. You can see here in the next 24 hours, we're going to be seeing stretching all the way from Maine all the way down here into parts of Alabama, even into the Florida Panhandle. Not a lot of rain with this cold front specifically, but that will eventually move out. You can see heads into Canada, and then you can really see that it starts to kind of quiet down here with the northern part here of the United States, as well as the southern part of the United States here. But there's a possibility here of something could possibly be somewhat, severe weather threat-ish as we head into, parts of later on this week here in the next couple of days, heading into this weekend. We could be seeing a little bit of a slight weather risk here, kind of heading into parts of Missouri, Oklahoma here. We could be seeing that later on this week. Taking a look at this moisture that is coming in from the Pacific side, that could impact Washington and parts of Canada as we head into the, next week, early next week. We're going to be seeing a low pressure system. So at higher elevations over here in the northwest, we're going to be seeing that snowfall kind of happening in the mountains right right there, and then another severe weather risk could possibly start to form here. Not heading into severe weather risk zone, or season. We're going to be heading into obviously winter season, so that's something that we're going to continue to pay attention to. Snow is, expected by the GFS here. We could be seeing it obviously kind of hanging out in the mountain regions as the temperatures are obviously a lot cooler as we head up in elevation. Taking a look here at the HRRR model for our severe weather risk for today, well, we could clearly see here as we head into 5 p.m. In the next couple of hours here, we're going to be seeing some of those storms starting to form here in parts of eastern Michigan, and that, is obviously associated with our low pressure up here. We're going to be seeing those cooler temperatures start to move in as these storms kind of move away. So you definitely will be seeing a lot of these. As these storms kind of move through, you're going to be feeling the temperature right after they are gone, and that will move its way off to the east, and obviously that's why we have that margin risk also for parts of northern Ohio, because we do see that the possibility for some storms are going to kind of ramp up for the northern part of Ohio as well, but a marginal risk, big wind threat is possibly going to be there. Not anything too major, but that will be our biggest threat here for this severe weather risk zone right there. Let's take a look at the tropics though. The Atlantic right now currently looking pretty quiet as we can see, except for obviously our new form named Tropical Storm Melissa here. That is expected to kind of just hang out here in the Caribbean. Over the next couple of days, we're just going to be seeing Tropical Storm Melissa kind of just heading, kind of just hanging out in the Caribbean, but obviously going to be bringing a lot of rainfall here to the Dominican Republic. Taking a look at the water vapor, what are we currently looking at? Well, obviously Tropical Storm Melissa is sitting in some pretty nice, favorable environment here to get that act together. And this, skip tropical depression stage. It already looks like a tropical storm. It does have that characteristics of a tropical system there. And we obviously know that this is going to bring a lot of moisture here into these islands here. So stretching even from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and maybe even parts of eastern Cuba here as we head on when the storm slowly makes its way up to the north. Now, a lot of dry air is kind of coming down here, and that's kind of going to be with our front as well. So that's going to be a reason why some of these, models are really keeping this storm out to sea here. Will eventually turn. It's going to kind of get pushed by the trough and will not be able to make its way here to the United States, which is some great news. But obviously, if you live in this general area, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and Cuba, you need to be watching this storm right now. Right now, taking a look here, the only thing active here on the National Hurricane Center right there in the central part of the Caribbean is Melissa. Continuing to pay attention to that. Here's the tropical cone here for Melissa. We're currently seeing 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm here moving west at 14 miles an hour. We're going to be seeing the tropical storm conditions already kind of really ramping up. This might be a possibly large system here, as we're already seeing a lot of tropical storm wind speeds kind of just around the system here, mostly on the eastern side though, so we're going to kind of keep an eye on that. Taking a look at Haiti, Dominican Republic, hurricane watches are now out in effect for you guys here, and Jamaica, you guys are under a tropical storm watch. Obviously it depends on how big the system gets, but as you can clearly see, by Saturday we're going to be seeing it just south of Haiti here. It's not moving very quickly at all right now, moving at 14 miles an hour off to the west, but obviously right now we're going to be seeing this kind of stall out here and kind of get stuck and trapped, and that's what's going to bring that possibility for some heavy rainfall here into parts of the southern parts of Dominican Republic as well as Haiti. So mudslides could be a possibility here. Taking a look at a couple places, Jamaica, you guys, 2 to 4 inches of rain here in the eastern part of Jamaica. Really, majority of that heaviest of rain will stay offshore there that you could clearly see. But then you really take a look at Dominican Republic and parts of southern Haiti. We could be seeing possibly up to 8 to 12 inches of rain in some areas, and locally heavy amounts also could be in several different areas as well. Taking a look here at the 18Z spaghetti models here on Tropical Storm Melissa. Obviously, we know where the system is. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be moving off to the west here. Majority of the models do agree with that, but you could definitely see over here in the next 24 hours a little bit more of a spread that we're kind of seeing, and the reason why we're seeing that spread is due to the possibility here, is it going to go more off to the west? Is it going to start getting pulled up to the north? The big question obviously is, where does the system go here as it kind of stalls out? The longer it stays in the favorable condition, obviously we could be looking into some rapid intensification, but the more it kind of gets pulled up to the north here, I would say we're probably not going to be seeing as strong of a system, off to the west here. If we see more of a westward track, we're not going to be seeing as stronger of a system here. But if it does get pulled up to the north here and kind of hangs out slowly, we could be seeing a pretty intensified system. Taking a look at the GFS, what are we looking at? Well, the GFS expecting this in the next day to really rapidly intensify into a possible hurricane, and then really bullseyes its way over here into parts of the Dominican Republic and Haiti. You could see that. That's going to bring heavy rainfall there, but doesn't stall out too much there. Maybe for a good day we might be just watching the system. Then we'll eventually, as the trough comes and pushes it out of the way, it's going to be racing off to the northeast there, missing Bermuda and all of that, and we'll kind of just stay out to sea. The European model, you kind of can see keeping the same thing, but just keeping it really in the Caribbean for a long time, that you kind of can see right off of Haiti. And this is the whole 6Z model run. I mean, look at that. That is pretty impressive there. 989 millibars here, right there. So that's going to be maybe a low-end Category 1. But taking a look, it just kind of hangs out in the Caribbean right there and kind of just intensifies. So that could be something to pay attention to. And obviously, we know that if it hangs out in this general area, we're going to be seeing a lot of that moisture heading into Dominican Republic and Haiti very well with that. And that's going to be obviously a big concern for us there. The 6Z Euro ensembles kind of just taking it out. I will say with the ensembles, a very big split as we head into the next 90-hour mark, but then you kind of can see the weaker system kind of heads more up to the north here, and really majority of our systems are now going off to the west, so that could be a different scenario here. I do know for our Euro ensembles, if we go back to the early morning ensembles, did have the same type of look, but brought it a little bit closer to the United States here, bringing it close to the Florida Keys as it raced off to the north. We did have a couple scenarios where it did get into South Florida, but obviously right now that's not a too big of a possibility. But you take a look at the Euro ensembles compared to the GFS ensembles, which we'll look at here in a second, a little bit more of a westward system, that would put more of Cuba in play there with this tropical system right there. GFS brings it more off to the north, spreads out a little bit more, so Cuba definitely needs to be paying attention to this system as well. But obviously taking a look at the satellite picture, a lot of convection this morning that was there, but now starting to really kind of rebubble itself up, which kind of does give us a little bit of a look that we do see Tropical Storm Melissa intensifying here. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy these weather content videos. Make sure if you do have any comments, if you have any questions, make sure to leave it down in the comments down below. I'll try my best to answer them as quickly as possible. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.